So we put one up there. I don't know if you heard that little bouncing. That was Aretha. Looking like she's getting ready to get into trouble. Let's put this on my page. My personal page. And then let's put one on the DolfanDale page. And if you're here and you don't know about the Facebook page, this channel does have a Facebook page that you can go and like, and I try to keep it up to what's going on around here. There we go. And it's shared there. And who knows? Maybe we'll get some folks because I don't know about you folks, but we are snowed in around here, and there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. Mess with the cats. Maybe see if it's possible to walk out, take trash out to the dumpster. But other than that, there's not much leaving the house right now. Not much leaving the house. So, all right. I guess I'll go ahead and start talking about episode 6. If you have not seen episode 6, if you're watching this later, you haven't seen episode 6, I'm about to spoil it. So be warned. Spoilers coming. Get out until you've seen it. Then come back here, and if you are watching this later, because I know I'm getting some views later, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Am I hitting? Do you think I'm hitting anywhere close, or do you think that I'm just missing everything? You know, I will say this: I love this show. They've really hit on something with this show. Let me try to bring. We'll do a screen share. All right. So this week was episode 6. We got a new intro, kind of cool with the WandaVision opening. Must admit, I must be getting into a time period where I'm not as familiar with the sitcoms, because I didn't immediately recognize where they were pulling this intro from. I apologize. I don't normally do this on camera, but I get parched during these live streams. All right. And I've been told I swallow loud. Oh, well. All right. So we got this new kind of 90s opening. And a couple things kind of stuck out about it. One was Agnes being included kind of like a cast member. I thought that was kind of a fascinating thing. And then at the very end, now that the big reveal from last week was her brother Pietro showing up, and this said Pietro Maximoff as himself. which is really peculiar, especially considering that this is not the Pietro Maximoff from the MCU. This is actually Pietro from Sony's X-Men movies. Now, I watched some other live streams. One, I knew I was going to blank on this gentleman's name. Campio. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's something like Campio, John Campio or something like that. He was talking about how he didn't think that this was the Sony X-Men. He didn't think that this guy was meant to be that Pietro. Though I don't know. I mean, it is. We are. I don't know how he dismisses it so easily, because we are headed toward Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and so why wouldn't this Pietro be that Pietro? I don't know. A lot of questions revolving around Pietro. Rather than just do a simple walkthrough of this episode, maybe I'll kind of skip around, hit certain characters, because we are trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. We got so many questions, and no, young lady, my goodness, my cat, Aretha, you cannot come up here now. I need you to come on back down. Come on back over this way. There you go. All right. So, as we try to figure this out, we don't know. We don't know if this is the X-Men Pietro. Don't know why it wouldn't be. But so who and why is he here? Is he, well, it just goes to show you how few questions they've answered, and just now adding it on. So what we get with Pietro, is another. It complicates things, because we know that Vision, when we last saw him, he was quote unquote dead. But what does that mean for a synthezoid? His body doesn't really decay, does it? Though there was a remark about decaying vibranium made later in the episode, which I really didn't understand. I don't know why his vibranium would be decaying. He is not an organ. Okay, computer, I understand notifications are hidden. That's fine. So, yeah, I don't know why his vibranium would be decaying. But, that's one question. So how is Vision alive? Is he dead? Has Wanda somehow animating him? That was one set of questions, but Pietro really complicates it because he's flesh and blood. So if this isn't the X-Men Pietro, if this is actually the MCU Pietro, then how is he resurrected? I don't. Does Wanda have that kind of power over flesh and blood? I mean, it's one thing to reanimate a synthezoid. It's another thing to reanimate an actual human being. So that raises that question. In this episode, we also had one of those kind of PTSD flashbacks, like she had a couple episodes with Vision and him being colorless and having the hole in his head. And in this case, she looked at Pietro and he was riddled with bullet wounds. And she snapped back out of it. So is he really walking around as a corpse with bullet wounds in him? Don't know. If he is, that's really, man, this this thing is a lot darker than maybe what we're realizing. I mean, I still think my theory on that is that this may still be some sort of image projection by Mephisto or whatever demonic entity is manipulating things to keep Wanda in her hex sphere. Now the next question is, all right, so if the trying to figure out the objectives here is part of the problem too. It seems pretty evident from all the other episodes that part of what's going on here is a manipulation for Wanda to create more people like herself. And some folks are saying, well, she's not a mutant in this universe. Well, they haven't stuck that title on it. But if there's, and I don't know, maybe by definition, you have to be born a mutant. And she got her power. She and Pietro got their powers from the Mind Stone. So I don't know. So we need a good definition of what a mutant is. But it seems like one of the objectives here is that to create more people like that, as though it were some sort of, is it some sort of like demonic super soldier program? You know, what if Mephisto, or some people are thinking it might be another character named Nightmare that's really behind the scenes pushing the buttons, then what is their objective? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to set something up so that then they can invade the MCU? Don't know. And how obvious are they going to make it? Because I feel like not only is there something trying to manipulate Wanda here, but I believe that whatever that being or entity is, they're also trying to set her up by making her look like the bad guy. Whereas I think we all realize that she's being mentally manipulated. So, all right, we go from there. Let's talk about how do we know that there are other forces involved here. And I think the clearest that became in this episode was in the scene where Wanda and Pietro are having a talk. Now, I don't think Pietro is, I don't know who he's working for, if he's working for anybody. Is he just something that Wanda has locked onto that she feels that she needs? And so maybe they'll, if it's Mephisto, maybe he's letting her have him in order to keep her satisfied. Excuse me, in this setup. Uh, don't know. I don't think he's working for Mephisto because they're having an honest, even though he's kind of poking at her in a way that seems kind of odd at times. But he asked her, how are you doing this? The children, they were not seeing them until now, Halloween. How are you doing all this? And this is where the one scene where we kind of see Wanda let go and see that she does have an understanding that she has created this, but she doesn't seem to quite know how it got started. And so, what was the force that got her going here? And that's the big question. It's obviously not Sword. I think we're working with a couple different villains here. I think this Hayward dude is Tyler Hayward, who's the leader of Sword. I think he's a bad guy here. I don't think he's just misunderstood. I think he was actively trying to dissect and reverse engineer the Vision into creating. A lot of people have, especially in the MCU, seem to have super soldier ambitions, and I think that he is trying to reverse engineer the Vision to weaponize them. That's the only reason why, after 5 years, last week we saw the scene where he spread out across several tables. That's the only reason why you would have his quote unquote corpse out after 5 years, rather than sealed away somewhere, is if you're trying to reverse engineer them and create super soldiers. That's the only thing I can think of. And so, so I think he's a bad guy here, but there's a different agenda that I think's looking at Wanda and has an agenda with Wanda and her offspring. So, and I know I've seen videos where they think that Vision and Pietro will be dead at the end of this. I don't know that. I haven't come to an opinion. I don't know if I didn't have a dog in this fight, but Vision is my favorite Marvel superhero, so I don't want him to be dead. I want him to be back. And so, yeah. So as I look at this, I'm hoping that they are alive, and but I don't know one way or the other. I haven't made up my mind from what we've seen. I hope part of another thing that keeps my hope that he is alive is that we're seeing a story arc, a heroic story arc for Vision, where he tried to penetrate the barrier to call for help on his own against Wanda's wishes. And I feel like we're seeing. I don't think. I think the Marvel writers have proven to be far too adept at putting together a really complex, compelling story. I don't think they're just accidentally creating a hero arc for the Vision if he's actually dead. If this isn't really the Vision. So I'm not sure what's going on there. And right now, the Vision appears to be the most heroic person on the map. Well, I guess you can make an argument for Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo and Darcy. But it seems like Vision's going out of his way to try to get help for these people. He recognizes something's wrong, and he's willing to go against the love of his life in order to help these people. Now, after his encounter with Agnes, we know that he doesn't remember being an Avenger. So there's that I don't really have a good explanation for, except except this mental control. Maybe he will remember it once he breaks free of Wanda's mental impulses. Maybe he'll be able to tap into the Mind Stone to recover those memories. Assuming that's the again, and there's another question: is that actually the Mind Stone? I would think it would have to be. They're tapping into powers that are related to the stone. I mean, you could even see it with Wanda when she first expanded the Hex Sphere. She stopped everything in its tracks. That looks like the Time Stone to me. And so that gives credibility to the folks to the couple of folks I've seen that have been postulating that she is tapping into all of the Infinity Stones. That her powers make her sort of a walking Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. So there's all that with the Vision. We know that he's becoming conscious of what's going on. He doesn't remember being an Avenger. People are saying, now one thing I disagree with, I would ask people to think about this. On all the videos that I'm seeing, they're saying, oh, well, see, Vision can't live outside of the Hex Sphere. I'd ask everybody to go back and look at what we know about the Hex Sphere, which you almost have to assume you know nothing. And I maybe this is something that I do naturally, because when I was in college, I was a religion major, and one of the exercises that my professor had me do was write exegetical papers. And in exegetical papers, so he basically had you pretend like, hey, all right, here's a piece of scripture. Look at it like you know nothing about it, like you're an alien from another world, and you're just deriving meaning from what it says, not from any other resource that you know. And so when I look at this Hex Sphere, I'm not. I think I think people are making a jump to say that Vision can't exist outside of the Hex Sphere. And everybody says, well, he was laying on the ground going to pieces before and dying before she expanded the Hex Sphere. But consider this. Who's gone in and out of the Hex Sphere since this series has started? Wanda, Monica, and the Vision. Monica got sucked in, okay? She's the only person that we've actually, well, we saw the beekeeper, the guy in the kind of beekeeper suit go in, hazmat suit. We saw them go in. So it's okay to get sucked in. Coming out's another thing. So we've seen 3 exits. One was Monica getting expelled. So that's Wanda putting her out of her own Hex Sphere. Okay. We saw Wanda walk out of the Hex Sphere. And that's Wanda allowing that. Vision's the only person we've seen try to come through the Hex Sphere without her permission. Nobody else is even trying it because they're under mind control. And she, of course, she's training her kids, don't go past Ellis Street. So Vision's the only one to try to go through it without her permission. And maybe the reason he was falling apart wasn't because he can't survive outside of the hex sphere, but maybe that's part of the consequences of trying to go through the hex sphere without her permission, is that it rips you apart. You don't go through the hex sphere unless she lets you go through the hex sphere. So I don't know that this proves that he can't exist outside of the hex sphere, because it wasn't like he just fell apart. It wasn't like he was just laying there with like a corpse, a colorless corpse with a hole in his head. It was like he was getting pieces were getting ripped off of him and sucked back into the hex sphere. So this notion, this idea that everyone else has, that he can't survive out of the hex sphere, I'm not necessarily buying it. I don't think that proves it. It could be that is the case, but I don't think this proves it. Not to me, not yet. What else happened this week? All right, let's all right, this just popped into my head. All right, so Monica Rambeau and the crew are, let me pull up a picture here. We'll get into part of the outsiders. This is Hayward. Starting not to like this dude. He, of course, they kicked off their part of the scenes with them coming back after Wanda had thrown their drone at his feet after he tried to kill her with the drone, and then she took his all of his sword agents, focused their guns, laser trained them on Wanda, and she just flipped her finger and put them all on him. So that's a character that is kind of disgruntled because he probably doesn't have clean shorts. And yeah, so he kicks out Monica and Jimmy and Darcy, and so they're on their own, working on their own. And we have a scene where Monica is talking about getting a hold of her aerospace engineer friend, which could be the big cameo. And it could be really cool. This will be why what I'm about to say next is going to be one of the reasons why my dear friend Mandy Morelli should really watch my live streams, because I'm about to drop some Office rumor here. I know nothing about Hollywood contracts. I have no insider knowledge. But one of the people being speculated as being the aerospace engineer is Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, that they might introduce him right here in WandaVision. Now, how cool would it be if Reed Richards is the expert and it's John Krasinski? How big will that make his entrance into this series? Oh, wow. That would be, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not going to hold my breath. That may be too good to be true. I know a lot of people would like to see Krasinski as Reed Richards, and I'm one of them. I think he'd be brilliant as Reed Richards. But I know nothing. I mean, I don't know if he's signed a contract with Marvel. I have no idea if they have any plans of using him for Reed Richards or not, or go some other direction. I have no idea. I know that it's been just been a theory a lot of folks have had, and I've seen a lot of pictures doctored up to make it look like Krasinski is Reed Richards, and they look great. And so that would be awesome. All right, so getting back to the story, though, Darcy drops the news that Monica is her cellular structure is being rewritten. I'm going to throw something out there that I haven't heard yet. Monica, in response to that, said, I've seen a lifetime of workups because this idiot has got her blood work. And she said, I've seen cells metastasize and go into remission. I think Monica has cancer, like her mother. I think that, cancer being kind of hereditary, I think the writers know that. And I think that maybe she's gotten cancer like her mother. And this is going to be part of what, I've also heard other people say, oh, this isn't where she gets her powers. I don't know why else you would write in there that her cellular structure is being changed. So does she have cancer? Does she not? I don't know. But possible. I don't know why she would respond the way she did if she said a lifetime of things, and I know her mother had cancer. Does her character have it? Is this Is this going to be a mutation of sorts that's going to give her powers and maybe cure her cancer? I don't know. Maybe I need to do more homework on that particular character. But I found that to be interesting. So that's something to watch. Are we going to find out that Monica Rambeau has cancer? Is she going to get her powers here? That's all something to watch. All right. So we're watching to see who her buddy is. We're watching to see what her physical condition is. She and Jimmy Woo were able to escape the expansion of the hex sphere that Wanda. It looked like Wanda really expanded that hex sphere a great deal, and you wonder where she's getting that type of power. Because they made it pretty obvious that already on the outskirts of the town, people were getting caught up in loops because I guess they were just background fodder, and I guess Wanda's powers are maybe being taxed on the outsides, so people are getting caught in loops and they're getting frustrated. You see this one woman crying. You see the tear coming down from her face as she's caught in a loop where she's doing one motion over and over and over again. That kind of loop was also shown when Agnes accidentally got toward the outskirt and got caught. And then Vision had that conversation with her, which I'll try to come back to in a minute. But of course, was that an actual? Did she actually get caught up in a loop, or was that manipulation? That's up for debate as well. But so we know she's getting taxed. So expanding the sphere, how are people going to be? How are people going to survive on the outskirts of this sphere now that it's so much bigger? And where is she getting that kind of power? Is she getting help in any way? Those are all questions that are getting ready to, I'm sure, hopefully be answered soon. We got 3 episodes left. Unfortunately, Darcy had stayed behind. And don't overlook this. She said there was something behind the firewall that she knew would break this open. Now, will she actually get to it and break it open or not? I don't know. Maybe maybe she will. Maybe it'll be one of those things that she doesn't get to because they're. Hey, Eric, good to see you, buddy. And it's just me. It's me talking to myself. So glad to see you, buddy. So what was I talking about? I was talking about I was talking something about Darcy. Oh yeah, she got caught up because she had stayed behind, and whether we get to see what's behind the firewall or not, I guess will be determined whether or not by whether they want us the world to know. I think at the end of this thing, Wanda is going to look like the big bad. So maybe Darcy doesn't get to it. Maybe she can't expose this guy because they at the end of this thing, Wanda needs to be looked at as the big villain, even though she's not. So, so that's kind of what we pulled from. Trying to think if there was anything else revelatory that came from the interactions with Darcy. It'll be curious to see. We did not get to see her mutation once the sphere opened. And whereas we saw some of the other mutations, or the other, maybe I shouldn't be using the word mutation just yet because we don't, but the other transformations we saw, yeah, so we got to see those, but I think purposely we didn't get to see hers because they're saving it for this week. So we've covered that pretty much. Still working on Pietro. Is he? I don't think he's part of. I don't think he's part of anything. He just doesn't seem. He just seems to be too inquisitive. I mean, on the one hand, he seems really inquisitive, but he's also aware that he's being tested. Wanda was asking him specific questions, and he doesn't seem. I don't know that he has a real clue. But yeah, he's really a mystery. But and I don't know. Does he know more than he's letting on? He was just kind of probing Wanda to see what she knew. Hard to say. Anyway, all right. So that's where we are with Pietro. Wanda apparently is more cognizant of the fact that she is manipulating things than what we originally thought. How much she remembers, we don't know. Then there was that whole crazy scene with Vision and Agnes, who I still think is Agatha Harkness, a real witch. And so it was, Agnes gets on the outskirts of town. She gets caught in a loop, and she has an interaction with Vision. And Vision finds out from her. Well, that's where we find out that he doesn't remember being an Avenger. And she revealed to him that he was dead, and which he apparently didn't really know how to take. And so he told her, he said, I'm going to try to get us help and find out our situation here. And which is what he did. But now here's the thing is, was that all a manipulation? Are we at the point now where if it's Mephisto, if it's Nightmare, if it's whoever, are they trying to manipulate Vision into trying to get out? They've got is it that now that the boys have been created, Is it now time to push the envelope? It's hard to know without knowing what the real goals here are. So did she legitimately get caught on the outskirts and get caught in the loop, or was that a manipulation? I don't know. This is why I love this thing, and why I think so many people do love this show. Is there's so much stuff to wrap your brain around. Let's see, did I have any? That's me. Okay, did I have anything else I really want to talk about? I will say this. I have so much respect for Paul Bettany as an actor. I have a ton of new respect for Elizabeth Olsen as an actor. These two, with their facial, because this is all so subtle, and everyone's trying to see everyone else's reactions and motives, and everything's just so under the surface. And these two, with just the subtlest looks, are communicating so much. The whole cast is great, but especially Elizabeth Olsen. I don't know that maybe it's because I remember her twin sisters being in that sitcom, and of course they were little kids. How great of an actresses were they going to be as little kids? But so when I found out she was going to be Scarlet Witch, I wasn't really impressed. But man, she has conveyed so much just with the littlest expressions on this. I don't know. I just have a newfound respect for Elizabeth Olsen as an actress. She's shooting up my favorite actress list because she's just knocking it out of the ballpark on this show. And she does look quite lovely in that Scarlet Witch costume. I might be crushing just a little bit there too. Yes, that Scarlet Witch costume does look hokey. It's good it wasn't a literal translation when they went to film with it. But it's cool to see her in the costume, and Vision in that old costume, which would not have worked in the MCU either. So love that part about the Halloween episode. I've talked for about 45 minutes and just rambled, and I think I'm just going to wrap it up. We'll do this probably 3 more times next Tuesday, following Tuesday, leading up to the last 2 episodes, and then sometime after the finale, I'll do a wrap up, and we'll see what unfolds. See if any of what we're saying over these weeks have come to fruition, or if we were just clueless and going along for the ride. I do love this show, and like I said, so if you watch this, and leave me a comment. I would love it. But I'm going to end here, and we'll see you soon. And I can't leave. It's like the Hotel California. Okay, there's the cursor. So peace, folks.